We begin tonight with something we have never seen before. A former U.S. president arraigned on federal criminal charges, 37 counts. This afternoon, with much of the country watching that motorcade, former President Trump surrendering to federal authorities to answer the 37-count indictment, pleading not guilty. Allegations of willful retention of highly classified documents, nuclear secrets, U.S. vulnerabilities to attack. Federal prosecutors say when given multiple chances to turn them in, obstruction instead. The indictment saying at one point he suggested to a lawyer, hide them, destroy them. The former president seen leaving the Doral Resort in Miami before heading to the hearing, walking to the motorcade. Traffic halted on streets and highways in South Florida as the motorcade made its way to the courthouse. The former president traveling alone in his vehicle seen waving at the window before it drove into the underground garage. The former president fingerprinted but no mugshot, then taken to the courtroom on the 13th floor. His aide, Walt Nauta, seated at the table there with him. He's accused of conspiring with the former president. And in that courtroom today, special counsel Jack Smith. Tonight, with the former president potentially facing decades in prison if convicted, what is the legal strategy from here? Does he try to win the presidency again to make this go away? But a long road ahead, likely with many unexpected turns. Dan Abrams on those questions here in a moment. But first, ABC's Rachel Scott leading us off in Miami tonight.
Donald Trump this morning walking to his motorcade at his Doral Resort. The former president riding alone. A brief wave to supporters and a post on social media. On my way to the courthouse, witch hunt.
Law is above the law.
Outside federal court in Miami, a carnival-like atmosphere. Small groups of supporters and opponents, present but peaceful. Inside, Trump was arrested, fingerprinted electronically, but no mugshot, no handcuffs. He was not ordered to empty his pockets. In the courtroom, the former president found himself just steps away from the man prosecuting him, special counsel Jack Smith, who he has attacked in deeply personal terms. Smith sitting just one row behind Trump. Glancing at the former president throughout the hearing, Trump never once looked back. Smith charging Trump with 37 criminal counts, accusing him of illegally keeping sensitive classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort, in a storage area, a ballroom, even a bathroom. They allegedly included secrets about United States nuclear programs, potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack, and plans for possible retaliation in response to a foreign attack. Prosecutors argue Trump tried to obstruct the investigation by suggesting his attorney hide or destroy documents, allegedly asking the lawyer, wouldn't it be better if we just told them we don't have anything here? In court today, Trump saying not one word. His shoulders slumped, his arms crossed, his face stern. His lawyer entering his plea, not guilty. Sitting at the same table as the former president, one of his closest aides, Walt Nauta, who has also been charged, allegedly conspiring with his boss to obstruct the investigation. Nauta at Trump's side over the weekend. He rode in the motorcade today. But at the end of the hearing, the magistrate judge ordered Trump not to discuss the case with any potential witnesses, a group that would certainly include Nauta. After about an hour in the courthouse, Trump and Nauta leaving together, stopping at a Cuban restaurant in Little Havana.
I think it's going great. I think it's a rigged deal here.
And with one final wave, he was on his way back to Bedminster, where he addressed his supporters tonight.
Today we witnessed the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country.
It was quite the day. Rachel Scott joins us live from Miami tonight. Rachel, you were inside that courtroom among a small group of reporters. You came on the air with me right after you left the courtroom, having witnessed the former president, Donald Trump, not uttering a single word, you said. And special counsel Jack Smith was there, you said, studying the former president throughout this hearing.
David, special counsel Jack Smith repeatedly glanced over at the former president, but Trump did not turn to look back at him once. The former president did not say a single word during this hearing, but David, he did not have to. His shoulders were slumped, his arms were crossed. He had to wait about 15 minutes for the judge to begin today's arraignment, and he appeared restless, at times fidgeting with his hands. One thing was clear, Trump was ready to get this over with and get back to his 2024 campaign. David.
Rachel Scott leading us off in Miami tonight. Rachel, thanks so much. Of course, the question, what is the legal strategy for Donald Trump going from here? I want to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, tonight, who was also on the air with me all day today. Donald Trump potentially faces decades in prison if convicted. And again, that's a big if here. But what is the legal strategy? Does he try to slow the timeline, win the presidency? And if he does it potentially go away?
That's certainly one big strategy. And yes, it would go away. He would be able to order his attorney general to dismiss the case if he's now the president and the case hasn't gone to trial. Even if there's still appeals pending, he could probably figure out a way to get rid of it if he wins. In the meantime, his lawyers are going to try to challenge admissibility of evidence. They're going to challenge the search warrant. And all of those decisions, from timing to admissibility of evidence, are going to be decided by Judge Aileen Cannon, a judge who Donald Trump appointed, who previously made a pretty controversial pro-Trump ruling during the investigative phase of this case.
So many unanswered questions, a long road ahead. In the meantime, something you and I took note of right after Trump left that courthouse, not long after, seen with his aide, Walt Nauta, who's also indicted here in this criminal indictment from Jack Smith. One thing the judge said to Donald Trump and his attorneys today is that the former president could not speak with witnesses in this case about the case unless it was through his lawyers. And then just minutes after the courthouse, we saw the president and his aide together. Nothing wrong with that, but it does illustrate how difficult it is going to be to enforce that.
Yeah, you're going to need someone who would come forward and say, I have evidence, I was an eyewitness to a violation of that order. And I think in the end, this becomes more a guideline than a rule. I don't expect this to become a huge issue unless there is some very public event and a very public place where that rule is being overtly flaunted.
Dan Abrams on the air with us all day. Dan, thanks as always for guiding us through this. In the meantime, we continue to report on Donald Trump tonight, the public view of him after this court appearance, and also what's playing out in private. I want to bring in John Santucci, who has reported on Donald Trump for years for us. Of course, we know Donald Trump is fundraising off this tonight. That's not a surprise. He'll hold a rally in Bedminster. But what are you learning, John, tonight on the inside? Donald Trump recognizing the weight of what played out today?
David, the weight of this certainly weighing on Donald Trump, not lost on him. He's been trying to build out a legal team for the last few days. I'm told, David, that team's still not set. Tonight, Donald Trump described to me as defiant, calm, and buoyed by that trip to Little Havana earlier. On the flight home, having his usual meal of McDonald's, surrounded by aides and advisors watching news coverage. The heaviness of this not lost on him, David. I'm told Donald Trump is prepared to fight. David?
John Santucci with us tonight. John, thank you. Now to the other notable person in that courtroom today, Jack Smith, the special counsel. Let's bring in our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, back with us tonight. Jack Smith, of course, did not have to be there. We didn't see much of Robert Mueller, for example. So why was he there? What was the message he was sending not only to his colleagues in the Justice Department, but to Donald Trump?
Dramatic move. He wanted to signal to Donald Trump, I'm here. I'm the person that personally brought this case against you. We are going forward. Secondly, he wanted to send a signal to his staff. I appreciate what you've done. There's going to be a lot of work moving forward. I'm here to support you. The other thing is, he also is the veteran prosecutor who has prosecuted cases before The Hague, war criminals. And he's got yet more work to be done, David. The January 6th investigation is ongoing. Fascinating that he chose to bring this case now, even with that case still underway. He wanted to send a signal. This is how important this case was. He had to do it now.
A lot of legal observers are pointing that out today, but the classified documents really, in their opinion, is just the first shoe to drop here, that the January 6th investigation is still ongoing by Jack Smith.
Ongoing, much more complicated case. There was an urgency here, David, that sources said this case had to be brought down to send a signal that this will not be tolerated.
Pierre Thomas with us here tonight as well. Pierre, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.